Beastmaster does two things, catch and control. I made a video on what captures I think are the best, so I just recommend you watch that so I don't completely repeat myself. Control is a whole other beast though. Its most famous use is getting blue magic earlier and easier than otherwise intended, like White Wind or level 3 Flare, or taking a super strong enemy out of the battle to fight for you instead. You could find some actually pretty funny jokes when doing control. Two that come to mind are both in Exdeath's Castle. The Black Warlock has all three of the instant death spells, and the Adamantite Golem has attack 4 times, with the bottom attack being a nuclear bomb compared to the others. When you get the Hypno Crown and Drakenveil, that dramatically improves the odds of control working, but that's the only one you get, so you can't have a party of crown-wearing controllers dominating every encounter. Even beyond the easy blue magic acquisition and convenience for tough encounters, control also makes for a great grinding tool. In World 1, the string of islands at the south end of the map has the Prototype, which is practically invincible to anything your party can throw at it at this point. If you control it though, just self-destruct, bam, easy 500 EXP and 4 ABP, and a dark matter if you have a chemist. In World 2's Sealed Castle, the only encounter here is the Shield Dragon, which doesn't have the near invulnerability of Prototype, but is still a way tougher enemy than almost anything in the game, including most bosses. But again, control, use Blaze 5 times because the way Blaze rounds damage occasionally means something will have 3 or 4 HP left, 5 AVP, 1000 gil, and 2500 goddamn EXP per person. That is an insane amount that beats many encounters in the final dungeon. When you come here in World 3, he shares an encounter table with Exdeath's Soul, and that guy doesn't give any EXP, only 7 AVP. If you're on GBA, you can use the quick save encounter bug to force it to spawn as the second fight, which is good, but otherwise I think that if you have a Beastmaster and want a level grind, just do it in World 2 before beating Exdeath. In terms of weapons, there's not much to say. They use whips, a back row physical weapon. The damage is decent, and the paralyzed chance is neat, but not really something you rely on for most fights, just a neat bonus. You get 3 whips early on, then you get the legendary Flame Lash, which is super lame and weak in World 3. And if you want the actual best whip, you either have to pray for the rare drop from the rarest enemy in the game, the Stingray, or you have to pray harder to get the rare steel from Shinryu. It's probably worth it because the top left segment of Neo is Dragon type. Really, the time sink is up to you. I kinda struggle to think of other abilities to give to them. I really think that making Beastmaster your control guy and permanently wearing the Hypno Crown is their best feature. Whips aren't strong enough to warrant an equip weapon skill, but I guess they could get some use with equip shield since they're a back row attacker with middling defenses. They could get some use with a magic skill since their magic penalty of -3 means the Faraga whip is really weak, but they can't rod boost, so even then the damage isn't going to be that great unless they're hitting a weakness against Necrophobe or something. For abilities to give to other people, everyone uses control and catch equally well, and no one has ever cared about Calm, a stop variant that only works on certain monster types. Or equip whips, a weapon type that's really rare and only gives the Beastmaster's paltry 13 strength. Here's a lightning round of useful or interesting catch gimmicks in the order I think of them. Releasing 4 magic dragons from Exdeath's Castle to insta-kill Exdeath, or any enemy that has less than 39,996 HP. Against Archeo-Avis, releasing a Ronka Knight from the Ronka Ruins to do just under 1600 damage, and an Aegir's Rainbow Wind from right outside Karnak to inflict sap. This kills the first phase with sap, ignoring the trigger to go to the next phase of the fight, finishing the boss immediately. Using the Excalibur to do 2 damage to the Christelle in the final area, and capturing it with the Carnagogord to release a free Mighty Guard for Neo Exdeath or Necrophobe. Releasing 2 Stingray's Tidal Waves to insta-kill all 4 Necrophobe barriers. Releasing a Sandcrawler's Maelstrom from the big World 2 desert against the crystals. This one might take a couple reloads because the accuracy on this move is shit. Releasing a Goblin because it's funny. Go experiment, catch is pretty fun. The Geomancer is an interesting one. It feels like the magic version of the Berserker in that you really have no idea what it's gonna do and how effective it's gonna be doing it. They're tied with Bard for fastest to master job, which only really matters if you have Freelancer or Mime, because I bet this stat spread is better than you'd expect considering what it is. But really, you're only here for Gaia. It's 25 ABP to slap this on anyone and make random encounters slightly easier since it costs no MP. Depending on the terrain, you can get anything from a strong strong party hitting attack, a percent-based gravity attack, an instant kill, straight up meteor on mountains, although the game refuses to call it that. Geomancer, or really just Gaia, struggles against the bosses pretty hard. Many bosses will be immune to the instant death or percent moves. Sometimes the only available move will be a super weak one like Gust. Sometimes you run into Soul Cannon and you're just fucked. During regular runs, this doesn't matter so much. During Four Job Fiesta, this is extremely annoying to be down a party member in many occasions. The game does throw Geo a bone at the end though. They get guaranteed Wind Slash against Neo X Death, so they just need an air knife to contribute. I guess this means I should talk about Bells? There's no equip Bells ability in this game, but that might be just as well, because the weapon type is... I don't know if I should call it bad. It's more accurate to say it's neglected. Maybe malnourished. You get the Diamond Bell in Tycoon Castle right after beating Garula, the 4th boss in the game, and the second bell is all the way in World 3 as the legendary one. I wonder how many players of this game got to this point and were like, oh yeah, bells. The legendary one is okay, it boosts earth damage and sometimes uses quake when attacking, but earth is a pretty bad element late game because of how many enemies fly, and the randomness means that you might be better off spamming Gaia instead. It's like a lateral movement at best. The other two bells are a rare drop from a final dungeon enemy and a rare steal from one of the two forms of a final dungeon boss. Like I said, better off just sticking with the air knife. For what it's worth, the Geomancer does have a very high magic stat, tied with Time Mage for 4th highest, and even then it's a single point lower than White Mage, so that makes it a good magic lamp user. The downside is that there's no way to give that magic to anyone. None of the 3 Geomancer abilities give it, and again, there's no equipped bells to potentially do it. Whether this is a bug or deliberate choice because of Gaia only needing 25 ABP, I couldn't tell you, but it does suck. As for what they can use, well, the Rune Chime, despite being a super rare item, does boost elements, so they can use black and summon well. Same with Throw, even a decent magic stat makes those scrolls into mini nukes. Their all positive stats means they're one of the best mages to give equip axes and go ham with the Rune Axe. 24 is a lot, like I said, but obviously their poor defenses counteracts their positive stamina. Ninja is ridiculous, it has nothing but great abilities. The only one I'd consider middling is First Strike, but that's only because I don't know if it stacks or not when it's on multiple units. It's hard to pick a single place to start why the ninja is busted. They get a free escape command, they have the 2nd highest agility, Image is probably the best spell as a dedicated ability slot ability because physical immunity is amazing and invaluable. Throw is incredibly strong with throwing old weapons, the shurikens you find in chests, the boss nuking Fuma shurikens, and most notably the scrolls that do party damage based on your magic. The ninja has bad magic, and they still do amazing damage, so giving that to mages turns them into walking nukes for no MP cost, and the scrolls only cost 200 gil, which is insane to me. And finally, the ninja's claim to fame, dual wield. Any ability in this game that involves getting 2 of something is amazing, so having 2 weapons is no different. Even if you don't have access to a shield, there are a handful of weapons in this game that act like a shield, like the Mengosh, Sasuke's katana, and the Defender, so you keep the big damage while still being able to defend yourself. In non-pixel remaster versions, you can dual wield the Twin Lance in your first hand and the Chicken Knife in the other, and the Twin Lance's attack twice effect overwrites the knife's flee effect, meaning you can attack completely unimpeded with it. It is a top 5 ability in the game. Every physical attacker wants access to it to double their damage output, unless their first weapon is so strong that it's better to just double grip instead. But knives can't be double gripped, so Chicken Knife definitely wants dual wield. Ninja can also benefit from a lot of abilities, unsurprisingly. There's the standard melee go-tos of Rapid Fire or Spellblade, but you could also get a little cheeky and give them equipped weapon skills to use Night Swords or Axes or Katanas. If you want to go full Throw, they can benefit from some magic to make the scrolls super powerful. They can also just be self-sufficient with Image to keep themselves safe since the Mengosh isn't going to be good forever. They can use Jump with the Twin Lance if you hate yourself. Likewise, every other job can use something from the ninja's arsenal. Image is a great equipped shield substitute that requires more upkeep but isn't random chance. Every mage can use Throw well. Every meleeer wants dual wield. This is a really fun and versatile job. Also, I don't really know where to put this, but the Excalibur is a fantastic throwing weapon because its 100 weapon power is taken into account when used this way. You might as well throw it and any other legendary weapons you can't use. They're like bootleg Fuma shurikens, and it's not like you're getting any money for selling them. If you know Final Fantasy V well, the first thing that comes to your mind when Ranger enters the discussion is Rapid Fire, so let's just get that out of the way. Being the mastery skill, you have high hopes and expectations for it, and Ranger does not fail to deliver here. Rapid Fire is 4 attacks done to random enemies back to back. These 4 attacks do half the damage of a regular attack, but they can't miss, and they ignore enemy defense, so even if only 2 of them hit the intended target, you're still doing more damage anyway. It is the go-to command for physical attackers, being the glue that holds together the dual-wield Spellblade combo for not only amplifying your damage dramatically, but also being the best chicken knife command. The not-so-obvious downside is when the game decides to randomly screw with you. SNES Neo X-Death has dummy targets that eat rapid-fire hits, and there's at least one GBA super boss that has intentional dummy targets for the same reason. That doesn't make it a bad command, far from it, but it is something to consider. Ranger's other commands aren't much to write home about. Aim is useful for low accuracy weapons like axes or the blood sword, but it gets deprecated by rapid fire once you unlock it. Animals is one of the many random thing happens commands that I malign often, but Nightingale can seriously save your ass if you need a quick party heal, and is really useful for brainless early game grinding before your level gets too high to unlock more of the animals. Nightingale is also based on your magic, so a summoner or even red mage will get a really good heal out of it. Equip bows is actually solid as an equip weapon ability. Ranger doesn't have the best strength, but it will also give their 12 agility, which is 3rd highest behind the Ninja and Mystic Knight. And speaking of that, bows. They're the most gimmicky weapon type, having so many random effects applied that it's hard to keep them all in mind at once. Element bows, debuff bows, an insta-kill bow, a bow that just does rapid fire sometimes. The legendary bow has a crit chance. There's no shortage of these things. I'm not a fan for a couple reasons. They're weirdly inaccurate, hence aim being the innate ability, and they're two-handed, so no shields. I'll be real, I can't think of many abilities that Ranger would get use out of besides rapid fire. Their good strength and high agility combined with their innate attacking command makes them a surprisingly good chicken knife user, minus their middling durability, so an equipped weapon to boost their strength would be handy. Similarly, if they're going to use aim, they can get some use out of equipped shields to make them live a little longer. That's all I got though. Ranger is both self-sufficient and gives one of the best abilities in the game, and still manages to be unremarkable. Not a bad job either way. Bard gets a bad rap from some people, and I wish I knew why. It's not a very good combat job out of very specific scenarios, but it's also a much different kind of support job than White Mage, that it carves out its own incredibly useful niche. The songs you start out with aren't much to see, but the Bard ramps up in usefulness more dramatically than any other job in the game, I'd say. Most great jobs are either amazing out the gate, like White Mage or Chemist, or a gradual increase over the whole game, like Time Mage or Blue Mage, but let's just go over the songs one by one in order of acquisition. First is Mighty March, which just gives regen to everyone. Regen is a middling buff, but it is free and party-wide, so with the Bard's decent agility, it's not that much of a wasted turn to throw it out for the first turn of the bosses or weak random encounters to get everyone to full. Next is Romeo's Ballad and Alluring Air, which are an enemy party-wide stop and confuse respectively. While very few bosses are weak to these, the ones that are get totally flattened by them, notably Omega of all bosses by Stop Song, and almost no random encounters are immune to Stop until the very, very late endgame. Stop Song is just a straight up free trip up the Phoenix Tower. Also, Confuse is a really good way to get blue magic because confused enemies just randomly use their control move list. A good way to get White Wind super early. You won't get another song for quite a while until a couple dungeons into World 2 where you get Requiem, Bard's only quote-unquote attacking song. It does a really big chunk of damage to undead and is great on Drakenvale, the dungeon right after you get it. Spamming this on zombie dragons gets you a lot of free dragon fangs. It's the best way to kill the undead harassing Golem, and way later in World 3 it's paramount to not losing all your sanity during the Pyramid of Moor and Great Sea Trench. The other 4 songs are just stat booster songs, which is the Bard's best feature by a long shot. You can get the speed song right before the barrier tower, and then the magic, strength, and level songs all very close to each other once World 3 starts. When you choose to play these, the Bard will continue to sing until until they're either hit with a physical attack, are silenced, or die. I know there's supposed to be a bug where if a singing bard gets zombified, they'll continue to sing forever, but in my many attempts to test this, I was never able to replicate it, so I think I'm doing something wrong. Anyway, how I think this works is that during the singing, every time a bard's turn would come around again, every alive party member's agility, strength, magic, or level will increase by 1. This does mean that the speed song has a kind of snowball effect, where the longer the song is allowed to be played, the faster everyone's agility increases, and eventually it gets to the point where your ATB gauge can start at 95% full after taking an action. Level can max out at 255 and every other stat at 99, which are insanely high and make your characters absurd powerhouses. The level song is absolutely the best out of the 4, and I don't find myself ever using the magic or strength ones. The magic song is actually missable if you don't grab it from the library at the start of World 3, which means it's one of the very few missable things in the entire game. And the strength song is gotten from the exact same guy as the level song, so it's immediately made redundant, assuming you've been keeping up in your piano blang. Boosting your level dramatically improves your damage, boosts your resistance to enemy debuff moves and accuracy of your own debuff moves, and even increases the HP gain from regen. Watching the regen ticks is a legitimately good way to keep track of your level. Once the HP stops, so is your level. Even a middling party can be made an unstoppable powerhouse given enough time in a single battle, especially since the stat boosts don't go away on death. Long as you keep up your piano practice, the bard will carry you to victory, no question. The other abilities though, Equip Harps is nice to get the minor magic and agility boost, so the berserker of all jobs could benefit from it pretty well, but Hide is mostly just bad. Not completely useless, mind you. It can allow you to dodge telegraphed attacks like Twintania's Giga Flare or Necrophobe's initial flares and holies. Plus, if everyone alive is using Hide, it counts as an escape during random battles. I myself even used Hide in the original level 1 run to survive Twintania's attacks to level 5 Death Him. Like most abilities, they aren't useless, but they're also just slot filler until their moment to shine comes around. I said Equip Harps was okay for the stats, but Harps themselves? Yeesh. First off, they're two-handed, so no shields. Second, there's 4 in the whole game. 3 of them are extremely weak gravity attacks, so they fail against anything heavy flagged, with the 4th being the legendary Apollo Harp. This does 8 times the damage to dragons and the undead, and yeah, that shows. Great for farming Dragon Fangs, and there's a lot of dragon enemies in the last dungeon. This can even be combined with a Dragon Kiss mix. You can make any target a dragon type with it, so Bard can always get the ×8 damage against any enemy. However, neat as this either requires having your Bard be the main damage dealer, or you're giving someone else Equip Harps to do that. And if your best ability at World 3 is Equip Harps, goddamn, man. I will admit the idea of a rapid-firing bard soloing Shinryu is pretty sick, though. Singing is such a fantastic ability that they're not really wanting for a secondary one. A magic one to boost their magic damage could be good. It makes Requiem and the Apollo's Harp significantly stronger. Image from the Ninja or White Mage is great because physical hits are the most common way that a bard stops singing the stat songs. Equip Shields is great for a similar reason. Luckily you don't need a harp equipped to sing, so I almost never do. They're always carrying a Min Gauche in my runs. Time Magic is amazing on anyone, and you're probably going to have Hermes sandals on everybody by endgame anyway, but with Haste, the speed song is fantastic to kickstart the turbo speed everyone will have. Bard is top tier for sure, one of my favorites.